It's a proposed bill from the federal government that's going to force social media companies to remove online content that sexualizes children or victims of sexual violence and sexual content that's posted without consent. And they want them to do it within 24 hours of a complaint. That content, however, may be more common than we realize. A new investigation in the New York Times found that thousands of parent-run influencer pages of children are becoming increasingly commodified and sometimes making young people vulnerable to blackmail, threats, and sexual exploitation. Joining us from New York this morning with more on this dark phenomenon is one of the investigative reporters on that story, Michael Keller with the New York Times. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We know that children under the age of 13 aren't supposed to have an Instagram page. There's various ways to get around that, but most often it's happening by having their parents actually run these bigger accounts. What did you find was motivating that, putting their kids in these types of situations?
Right, exactly. So as you said, anyone under 13 generally is not allowed to have their account of their own. But by labeling the accounts as parent-run or managed by mom, these accounts sidestep that rule. The motivations really ranged. Some of these accounts were kids who were already in dance and gymnastics and wanted to get discounted or free leotards in exchange for adding like modeling photos for the brands that manufacture the attire. A lot of parents told us that they viewed social media as a kind of digital resume, that they were building up their child's following that could help them springboard them into any number of possible futures, but wanted to set them up for success. Some of them said they got invitations from sought-after choreographers or opportunities to do special kind of pregame dance shows. Others viewed it more as a business. They took advantage of Instagram's subscription feature, which again is not allowed for accounts under 18, but because the accounts are run by a parent, they get around that restriction. And they charged up to $19 a month for more photos of the child or even chat sessions. Other platforms off of Instagram charged even more. In our investigation, we found that some charged as much as $250 a month for extra photos.
So you can understand, the platform to make money, to support their career or future endeavors. But what I found so troubling about your investigation was, who did you find about who's actually following these child accounts?
Yeah, so they're really, even, the ones that are finding success, it does come at a cost. Almost every parent that we spoke with said they spent hours a day blocking inappropriate or sexualized comments that appeared next to photos of their child. Parents said it was the first thing they did in the morning and the last thing they did at night. We also found 2 sex offenders that were commenting and following these kids. In the worst cases, some parents received, as you said, these threats of blackmail, where these people online would reach out and say, they would accuse them in many cases of doing things that they weren't doing, saying, we're going to reach out to your school and say that you're, selling naughty photos and sexualizing your child. And so it gets really scary very quickly.
Yeah, as these accounts became more popular, they drew this higher proportion of male followers. Canada, and I know you've been sent some of this legislation, Canada is introducing new legislation. This is their attempt to protect children from online and non-consensual pornography. And when you couple this with the fact that, Meta receives at least 500,000 child Instagram accounts with inappropriate interactions every day, how does more government regulation, or can more government regulation actually help?
It's a very complicated issue. I think what we're learning is that, we're about 10 years or so into social media being a real cultural force. And this really is the first generation growing up with ubiquitous platforms like Instagram and social media being an integral part of their childhood. So I think for our reporting, we're trying to explore and learn just what are the harms involved that can hopefully inform, both what government could do, but also what parents can do. And how people can make those choices for how they engage with these platforms that really are, whether you engage with them or not, are rather important for most people's goings-on in social life.
Michael Keller, it's a really great read and a really great piece. And I feel like parents everywhere should have a read. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.